Hey everyone, I'm behind on my long article reading, and seeing as I'm having a rough day and can't focus because I'm having a rough day, let's read together. Yeah, this is like one issue back of library resources and technical services. Hoping to get to the three articles I pulled from this latest issue soon. But this one's about zines, and I love my zines. And yeah, when I die, if they're not going down my issue, they'll probably end up here. I've been trying to give away a whole bunch with mixed results. I'm at the point where I might just ship them down to the art college down an hour away from us and have them redistribute them because I have a fair amount of duplicates and I also just have some that I just don't get. Zines are hard. Anyway, let's read together. I kind of like Richard Stoddart, and it's interesting that we have Kiser, just because that's my cousin's last name. Anyway, zines, loosely defined as self-published magazines, provide a cultural insight to the time in which they are published, making them a genre libraries may want to consider collecting. Due to their ephemeral nature, however, they create collecting, cataloging, and preserving challenges to libraries. Few libraries across the country have met these challenges and maintain zine collections. Although no two libraries met the challenges in the same way, their unique approaches to zine collections may inspire other librarians to investigate the appropriateness and feasibility of zine collections. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I was kind of excited to hire a new person because she was into zines, but apparently she's more into like the creation and stuff. I tried talking zines to her and it was awkward. So I'm like, want to take some of mine? But yeah, no. Anyway, so an obvious facet of culture is contained in a society's language. Language is an agent that unifies, strengthens, and acculturates the members of a culture. Written language is an integral part of the process. A library is, at its most basic, a collection of culture in written form. Libraries accumulate the written language and serve as an access point to understanding culture through the written word. At the very least, the library's collection of the written word provides a historical document from which a cultural understanding can be derived. Today, the library's underlying mission of cultural preservation is infinitely more complex than in the past. The computer age has made writing easier and the written word more accessible than ever. This has led to an explosion of information available in both traditional and non-traditional modes, making collection development within the library a complex and time-consuming task. Each new addition to the library adds a tile to the mosaic of cultural artifacts the library offers. No library can contain every piece of information ever produced. Therefore, no library can provide a complete picture of any culture at any point in time. Oh yeah, postmodernism! Gotta love it. Alright. Print zines are one of the most direct links to the viewpoints and artistic endeavors, and therefore the understandings of individual members of a society. As such, zines are a potent cultural tool and should be considered a worthy addition to libraries. Okay. I can see that argument. There's lots of other arguments for why we should put zines in libraries, but that, admittedly, is an argument. Stoddart is from Georgia Southwestern, interesting, and Kiser is apparently a systems librarian out in Alabama. I'm not good. Yeah. I'm a little surprised. I'm a little surprised because a lot of zine initiatives come out of California and the West Coast. So, happy claps to my friends down in the South. Yeah. So what's a zine? Deja wants to show you 10,000 examples from her Xenomadic binder that she's hopefully going to give away to undergraduates. Well, the weather is still warm-ish out. I don't know. Don't want to get cold, but on the other hand, I don't want it to be as hot as it's been the last few days. Anyway, what is a zine? The origin of zines is murky and varies depending on who is asked, or more importantly, what an individual personally considers a zine. Yes, yeah, I would say the 1980s. Benjamin Franklin can be considered a zine maker, according to R.S.F. Friedman, a former publisher of the definitive zine review publication, Fact Sheet 5. According to Friedman, Franklin published his own thoughts using his own printing press. It wasn't the magazine business, he did it all on his own. So yeah, he's got a point. Pamphleteers were the original zine artists. You had to commission a press sometime. Yeah. So I guess Franklin, an original pamphleteer doing original material would be a zine. Historians generally trace the origin of zines to the science fiction fan club culture of the 30s and 40s. I typed up or transcribed a bunch of really cool fan club newsletters from the 70s. I haven't seen any back that far. I'm kind of curious. The term zine is a derivative of fanzines, which were the fan magazines published by fan clubs of the era. Comet, a science fiction fantasy fanzine, is often cited as the first publication of this type. Zines are tricky to define. The modern zine bears little resemblance to its cousin, the fanzine, and there are many kinds of zines and many sizes. Today's zine is a product of the current technological environment. A zine may be a few sheets of paper reproduced at Kinko's. Where's a Kinko's? Do we still have a Kinko's? Are there Kinko's down south? I'm genuinely curious because I've not seen a Kinko's in a long time. All right, in a quantity from 10 to 100, collated by hand and distributed by leaving them in bars to be discovered. A good example of the low-tech approach is the personal zine Spaghetti Dinner and Dancing. Zine publishers, when available, addresses and websites cited in references at the end of this paper. Yeah, those were the days when you just made things and abandoned them, which is kind of how I do it, but I'm still wondering where this Kinko's is. Yeah. Actually, I still feel bad. I went over across the hall when the printing people moved in and was like, do you have a long arm stapler? And they didn't have one. They're like, really? You're making pamphlets? I'm like, yeah, at least I was hoping to. Apparently not. Anyway, long arm stapler. I need to make an investment, but yeah. I consume way, way more than I produce zine-wise. So a zine also may be a 75-page newsprint booklet produced in a quantity of 2,000, printed by a small press at the Zinester's expense. Easy, cheap access to photocopiers, word processor, and desktop publishing allows Zinesters to create, print, and mail 100 copies of a zine for as little as $75. Oh, okay. This type of zine is just generally distributed through the mail at the Zinester's expense to friends, independent record companies, and like-minded individuals. Of course, Zinesters value in-kind trades for their publications. Like-minded zine recipients are expected to send copies of their own zines, new recordings of their bands, or any other item they produce. Shatapon, produced by Andy Smetank. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm butchering your name. I'm sorry, Andy. Andy Smetanka, there we go, is an example of this sort of zine. It has gone a step further with the barter system and given advertising space to local merchants in exchange for their wares. Such wares have included pitchers of beer from local bars, loaves of bread from the local bakery, and records from the local record store. There are types of zines that are more mainstream. A prime example is Maximum Rock and Roll, MRR. This punk music zine can be considered a regular magazine by some standards. It is printed monthly, available through major retailers such as Books A Million and Borders. Again, I'm wondering where the Borders is. I thought Borders went under. And contains more than 100 pages and accepts paid advertising. However, MRR defines itself as a zine. Historically, MRR is the model to which most music zines aspire. Its rant columns, band interviews, and music reviews in that order have become the standard format of music zines throughout the world. Zines run the gamut from very small to very large. There are numerous other differences between zines. Zinesters can charge a few dollars to cover expenses or nothing at all. Zine topics are diverse, including music, poetry, stories, politics, and travelogues, to name a few. Physical size can vary from wallet to newspaper to anywhere in between. Almost any print material independently created and distributed can be classified as a zine. While some zines are published as a type of fan mag, others are published as an outlet for scathing criticism. Zines are the unfiltered voice of the common person. Print zines are not bound to editors or publishers. And some zines readily disregard copyright laws. Zinesters sometimes cut and paste relevant articles from other publications and include them in their own to reflect a particular point of view or mission. Sometimes the goal of getting the information to other like-minded individuals leads them to infringe on copyright law. Additionally, since the goal of zine authors is to disseminate their thoughts and ideas to the widest audience as cost-effectively as possible, duplication of their work by others is not discouraged as long as it is not reproduced for commercial purposes. Zines are eccentric little publications that are expansive in their format and content. It's extremely difficult to put a finite definition on a zine. A better way to grasp what defines a zine is to consider the attitudes and purposes behind its creation. A zine is usually created as a means of sharing an unusual perspective and providing information that would be difficult to obtain from mainstream media, and is produced in limited quantities using low-tech means. A zine is not published for monetary gain. Tell microcosm that. One of the most important tenets regarding modern zines is a do-it-yourself attitude. DIY is one of the hallmark qualities of zines. The DIY attitude is often associated with the punk rock subculture. If a punk band wants to put out a record, tour, or play a show, the plan of action is, to borrow a phrase from Nike, just do it. Adherents to the DIY philosophy put their money and sweat into a project, whether it's a band or a zine, to produce and participate in something they love. This attitude is heavily ingrained in the zine subculture. If zinesters want to write about something, they write about it. Eric Bloom, producer of California-centric zine Great God Pan, produced a zine that had a large press run, hardcover, and a generous distribution. Great God Pan was therefore not cheap to produce, and Bloom certainly did not make money off the project. However, his desire to publish and be read outweighed any financial restrictions. Zines are a written product of the human need for self-expression, and beyond that, they are hard to define. Their ephemeral nature makes it difficult to grasp and pinpoint a clear definition, yet it's possible to grasp the concept, even though specifics can be sometimes vague. Okay, I'm going to pause this for a second to scroll back up because I'm very curious. I thought this was published quite recently, but some of the references here have me wondering if we did like a republish of a popular article or something. So hang on one sec. Okay, I feel a little bit better now. I have no idea how I bumped into this article, if I just like managed to see it somewhere. But it is from like 2004, so now I feel a little bit better because I'm like sitting here going, did I end up in some sort of really awesome new timeline in which the Kinkos continued to survive and Blockbuster is somewhere out there? No, apparently not. I'm just reading a very old article, so don't worry, I'll put that in the description. And yeah, y'all can ignore my comments about where's the Kinkos, baby. Zines have changed a lot in the last, 20 years. So this is going to be interesting. This is like more of a retrospective now. So anyway, now we know. Now we know. Oh, I restarted the top side to look. I was trying to find the actual date, but I had to actually look up the issue number because I'm like, this can't be accurate. No, Kinkos were still going in 2004. Borders may still have been alive. I'm 100 on whether that one's true, but it's certainly plausible. Alright, why are zines important? Why should a library care about them? Three aspects of zines speak to their importance. First, they provide an alternative point of view. Some of these points of view are quite passionate. If a person is willing to spend the time, money, and effort to produce and distribute a zine, then they must have something they think is worth saying, no matter how obscure. I love that. Oh man. For example, Dishwasher by Dishwasher Pete is an ode to the restaurant dishwasher. Pete's goal is to wash dishes professionally in all 50 states and documents that quest from a point of view of a dishwasher. Who would have thought someone would take the time to write about something as unique as this? Secondly, zines are important because they embrace individual expression. Zines are usually and not filtered through an editor, much less an editorial board. When a zine is made available to the world, it can be thought of as a direct link to an individual's opinion, personality, or interpretation of the world. In addition, zines can be artistic. Many zines contain short stories, poetry, and art. The next Charles Bukowski, Allen Ginsberg, or Jean-Michel Basquiat may now be publishing in zines. The layout of zines can be dynamic, often taking on collage forms. These layouts can be hectic and sometimes beautiful in a creative sense. The covers of the zine Comet Bus, for example, are all quite artistic, all the more striking since they are created in most cases by manipulating a photocopy machine for effect. Figure 2 presents a sampling of other zine covers. Yeah, okay, I feel at home here. This is back in the Xeroxing days. Now everyone's got a computer and it's the squids are, much cheaper to harvest, I guess. But back in the day, yes. We spent a lot of time and we liked like this, yeah, this look of like multiply Xeroxing, especially newsprint. Yeah. Now it's like an aesthetic and a filter on like somebody's Instagram, but back in the day, yeah. Unfortunately, I do have a lot of like old school zines that are really hard to read because of that, so it's a double-edged sword. Zines provide insight to today's modern popular culture, a third reason for libraries to collect zines. They offer a direct and unfiltered view of an individual's interpretation of and participation in the culture that surrounds him or her. The zine presents a first-person attempt to decipher and decode the world. Layla Miletic Vizhozovic, if I screwed that up, I'm sorry, the Rare Books and Special Collections librarian at Washington State University, sums it up by stating zines are an important part of popular culture because they reflect the attitudes and values of the masses. Catherine DeGraff of the DePaul University Libraries in Chicago believes historians will lose out an important resource if zines are not collected. She has said, unfortunately, the telephone and email are replacing letters as principal form of communication, so a lot of history is disappearing. If we don't preserve zines, historians and other researchers are going to have to write about our era from secondary sources. Whether to preserve an alternative point of view, celebrate individual expression, or provide a written document of our accelerated culture, zines can be a worthwhile and important addition to many libraries' collections. Not many mainstream libraries are collecting zines, and now there's a lot more. Many alternative venues are currently filling the void. In many cases, they are simply a back room in an independent bookstore and magazine shop. One prominent independent zine library is the Independent Publishing Resource Center located in Portland, Oregon. This nonprofit facility has an online catalog library of 3,500 titles as of 2004, so that's probably at least 10 times bigger, plus publishing facilities and workshops. The IPRC, funded through grants and donations, is a great resource for zine publishers, scholars, researchers, and serves as an example to other like-minded institutions. Okay, so libraries and zines and the joys of playing with them. Due to the ephemeral nature, libraries face a real challenge if they choose to include them in their collection, and few have risen to that challenge. The authors concluded an informal email survey of 20 libraries that house zine collections. Responses from 14 respondents offer some insight into the obstacles libraries face in collecting zines. A variety of answers received in response to questions about collecting, cataloging, and preserving issues were the most interesting. So, collecting. If a library is to have a zine collection, first hurdle is to obtain them. With the ephemeral nature, where do libraries start? Some university zine collections began as a large donation from a zine collector. Approximately 1,000 zines were donated to the Minneapolis Community and Technical College Library by Chris Dodge, a librarian at Ootney Magazine and former editor of the Minnesota Libraries Association's Social Responsibility Roundtable newsletter, which reviews zines. In 1991, the New York State Library accepted the zine collection of Mike Gunderloy, the founder of the zine review publication Fact Sheet 5. His collection totaled approximately 10,000 zines. The Sally Bingham Center for Women's History and Culture at Duke University received its core zine collection from artist and zinester Sarah Dyer in 2001. Darby Romeo, who is associated with the now defunct Zine, Ben is Dead, donated her collection to the University of California, Los Angeles Arts Library. Zines are most often acquired through donations of collections, subscribing to titles through independent distributors, or by simply writing to the creator and requesting a copy. Another more obvious collection strategies for a library to pick up copies found at distribution points such as independent bookstores, record shops, or a local alternative culture hangout. Many zines are free, and zinesters are, in most cases, more than happy to provide back issues. An extensive alphabetical listing of zine publications with zinester contact information for requesting issues or information can be found on the website for Sleazefest. Okay, never heard of that. The Ray and Pat Brown Library for Popular Culture Studies at Bowling Green University. Yeah, Bowling Green's got a lot of cool stuff down there. I didn't get to hang out there much. Oh, okay. I was like, what am I looking at? The Zine Archives and Publishing Project at the Richard Hugo House, the Special Collections and Archives Departments of DePaul University Library, and the Special Collections Division of Michigan State University are a sampling of the libraries that depend on donations as their main source of zines. Donations come through solicitation review guides such as Zine World, a reader's guide to the underground press, and Broken Pencil, and by word of mouth. Many library zine collections specialize in one or more forms of zine literature, such as women's studies or protest literature, therefore limiting the donations they accept. The Labadie collection at the University of Michigan, for example, specializes in protest literature but accepts any zine with entertainment value. Oh, okay, that's where I can ship them. The Sally Bingham Center for Women's History and Culture, housed at Duke University, only accepts donations of zines by women and girls, while the University of Buffalo only accepts zines that are at least 50% poetry. Yeah, those wouldn't be my zines. I'm not much for poetry. The Mansfield Library at the University of Montana in Missoula is an active collector of all types of zines. According to Christopher Mullen, the Special Collections Librarian, the library currently has about 17.5 running feet of shelf space, representing more than 500 titles of zines. The zine collection is based strictly on donations, no money is designated for the purchase of zines, and still the collection remains active, surprisingly. Mullen estimates the library receives several hundred zine issues a year, keeping only one copy of each issue in the collection. To keep the collection active, the library periodically puts out a call to the news group alt.zines for more donations, which has resulted in the library being added to several web lists of zine repositories, such as the Zine and eZine Resource Guide, and info shops and zine libraries. Very few libraries subscribe to zines in addition to accepting donations. The Salt Lake City Public Library and the University of Buffalo are two exceptions. Yeah, cataloging is where I can tell you more. I can speak to those challenges, and I have not tried to catalog my own collection. I have them by creator last name, and even that is difficult enough. Briefly, I separated out the art ones for the long textual ones, and that didn't work out too well. So yeah, now it's just creator last name, and then the series are broken out. And other than that, it's a mess. It just gets unruly. So yeah, and then I feel bad because I'll get rid of zines from creators where I've kept their other zine, and I'll find out later, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't like that, but I did like that. Okay. So yeah, after obtaining zines, the next challenge for most libraries is cataloging. Should they be categorized as alternative press, underground press, small press, little magazines, vanity press, or something else altogether? Are they serials? Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't. They're often erratic publication patterns. They're often unnumbered and may appear months apart, make handling them as a traditional serial problematic. Serials in general are problematic, kids. Should they be included in the main library catalog or cataloged separately as part of an archive or special collection? These are all questions that a library will have to consider regarding its zine collection. Now, this is policy before we even get to cataloging. But yeah, covers in various sizes. I think that Shadow Pommel was one that screwed with my eyes when we opened it. Anyway, zines present unique challenges due to the qualities inherent to the genre itself. Titles often change on the whim of their creators. Some zines die without warning. For the most part, zines are rarely published in any consistent manner. Since they are self-published, their publishing schedules are uniquely bound to the financial stability of their creators. They generally contain no dates or identifying marks such as ISSNs, and zine stores do not make it easy for the librarian. If you are watching this and you are someone that produces a zine, you can apply for an ISSN, and it will make our lives so much easier. Alright, just saying. Cataloging practices vary from collection to collection. The Ray and Pat Brown Library for Popular Culture Studies at Bowling Green does not catalog their zines. Minneapolis Community and Technical College Library maintains an in-house database using commercial software. I'm thinking Access, given this time. Anyway. The University of Buffalo treats zines the same as any other periodical. The Mansfield Library at the University of Montana, Missoula is the one library that does not catalog zines. Instead, folders are set up and titled for each publication, and issues are placed in the appropriate folder. The folders are arranged alphabetically by title and placed in pamphlet boxes on the shelf. When a new issue of a previously held zine arrives at the library, simply add to the appropriate folder with no additional processing. Now, there's a low budget, no budget way of handling life. There is no attempt to organize a zine collection beyond the folder level. A folder may contain 1 issue of a zine or 50 issues. If a patron wants to know what is in a folder, he or she has to examine it physically. Ah, the good old days. We had to pick stuff up and look at it. Title lists of the collection are made available at the library's reference desk and in the archive's Special Collections Reading Room. The zines may be viewed within the Special Collections Reading Room only. Keep your hands clean. Minneapolis Community and Technical College Library catalogs zines using Microsoft Access, called it, and provides access points by title, keyword, author, and subject. According to Thomas Aland, library instructor at MCTC, plans are underway to design a web-based catalog interface to simplify the cataloging process. Oh my god, yes, 20 years ago, I'm sorry. Having flashbacks to the end of my undergraduate experience. I didn't go to graduate school in 2007, and even then, oh my god, I feel so old. Alright, keep moving. Keep the movement. Alright. Y'all who live through automation, once again, you have my empathies and sympathies and mad respect. Alright. So Zine Archives and Publishing Project at Rickard Hugo House also uses Microsoft Access, as does the Salt Lake City Public Library, although the latter does not make its database available to the public at this time. At the New York State Library, approximately 4,000 zines are cataloged. However, this does not represent the entire collection of 10 to 20,000 titles. Billy Owl was, at the time of Mike Gunderloy's zine archive donation, the reference librarian in the Manuscripts and Special Collections section of the New York State Library. Her plan for cataloging at the time was to provide a brief record entry, title, holdings, subjects, about 40 entry thesaurus, and sometimes a short description to enable title and subject keyword access for each title. While some 10,000 titles to be processed, Owl estimated the project would take from 15 to 20 years. Oh, goody gumdrops. Unfortunately, due to system problems and her eventual transfer to another department, this project resulted only in the approximately 4,000 records that currently exist in the catalog. There is little hope the project will be resurrected. Oh, giant sad face. I hope this got handled in the last 20 years. In retrospect, Owl believes she probably should have simply used the finding aid approach of maintaining an alphabetical listing of the titles. Yeah, bulk. Things are hard to deal with. Other libraries catalog zines as they would archives at the collection level rather than at the title or item level. One example is found in the Rare Book Manuscript and Special Collections Library at Duke University. Amy Lee Hargodorn, archivist of the library, states that they've developed an in-house database that provides access by title, subject, and author to aid researchers. The author's informal survey of various libraries and zine repositories suggests no standard approach exists for cataloging zines. See Appendix for survey questions. Each library has developed its own system to meet its local needs and available resources. So, access and patrons. Regardless of how they're cataloged in the collection, the main objective is to make them available to patrons. Most zine collections are for library use only, maintained in closed stacks or the reference area. The few exceptions found were the Independent Publishing Resource Center, which allows patrons to check out 10 zines at a time, and the Salt Lake City Public Library, which maintains small circulating collections at the main library and its 5 branches. Salt Lake City Public Library believes that zine collection has brought a whole new group of patrons that haven't been to the library before. Collections in many of the university libraries that respond to the survey are used mostly by researchers and scholars. Thomas Land uses the zines as examples in a Minneapolis Community and Technical College class he teaches titled Alternative Knowledge, How Radical Ideas Are Communicated in Society. According to Amy Leigh Hagradorn, archivist at the Sally Bingham Center for Women's History and Culture at Duke University. Researchers from all over the country and abroad use the library's zine collection, and users range from students in first-year writing courses at Duke to faculty in a variety of disciplines. Paul Mercer, senior librarian at the New York State Library, identifies collection users as zinesters and would-be zinesters looking for inspiration, curiosity seekers, and serious scholars of popular culture, literary, political, or art history. On the other end of the spectrum, Travis Fristo, a librarian at Alaquia County Library District, probably messed that up, and volunteer zine librarian at the Civic Media Center, a zine repository in Gainesville, Florida, finds that most of his patrons are local foot traffic, although some patrons who visit the collection do have an interest in alternative media. Asked how many zines are used by these patrons, Fristo's tongue-in-cheek reply was, "Ideally they're read, memorized, and the reader is fired up to lead a better life and fight for the better world." However, he meant that typically someone will stare at the cover for a few seconds, thumb the pages, and put it back on the shelf. Shelving a collection. How do libraries shelve and organize zines for access? Again, respondents to this question varied. Some alphabetized by title, while others organize their collections alphabetically by title within a category. Since zines are usually small and hard to shelve individually, some libraries use archival folders within archival boxes, whereas some simply use magazine boxes. That would be me at my house, cramming stuff in magazine boxes. Others prefer a filing cabinet system with a hanging folder for each zine title. Yeah, that's going to get all bulgy and weird real fast. Anyway. Hanging file folders and sticking heavy things in them is not a good idea. Asked about plans for long-term preservation, librarians and collection managers cited their use of archival folders and boxes in climate-controlled areas. Some have long-term plans for digitizing the collections, others have no plans for preservation, stating that while they treat their collection with care and respectful handling, when and if the collection begins to deteriorate, they will repair it as much as possible and otherwise discard as needed. Alright, now keep in mind this is 2004, so a little zine information on the web, and no, I do not have any more fluid, so we'll be knocking this out right quick. Even though zines are print resources for underground writing, information about zines can be gathered from the internet. Simply searching for zines or zine reviews in Google or other online search engines will result in a listing of websites containing reviews, content, and other information about zines. For example, the Zine Guide website contains reviews and information on zines, Zine World, a reader's guide to the underground press. Another website provides a good review of zine culture, sample reviews, and suggestions on how to obtain zines. The website Zine Book is a source of information on readings from the fringe. Another good online resource for alternative publications is the website The Street Librarian, maintained by Chris Dodge. Some zines have a website that gives information about the zine and how to obtain it. Rocktober and Maximum Rock and Roll, for example, maintain their own websites. It is important not to confuse print zines with e-zines. E-zines are electronic magazines that differ from print zines in their content, manner of publication, and purpose. Many internet sources address zine culture. One must simply conduct appropriate internet searches to locate them. Most publications and websites that review zines provide addresses for purchasing zines directly from the publisher. Many alternative online music stores, such as InSound.com, contain zine stands where zines can be purchased online. More mainstream sites, such as Punk Planet or Giant Robot, are available from traditional online outlets, such as Amazon.com or Booksamillion.com. Conclusion: the world of information resources is not static. The flow of information is constantly changing in both content and form. Libraries must be flexible enough to respond to this ever-changing influx. The library's inherent mandate is to provide access to information in all its forms, and while libraries may be patting themselves on the back for successfully integrating electronic media into their collections, their acquisition of print materials is in most cases not all-encompassing. Print zines are all too commonly an oversight. Many scholars and historians understand that print zines are important tools for researching the connection between an individual and the culture of which he or she is a part. The value of zines should not be discredited because the format's often primitive print style and unedited content. Since libraries are archives of written culture, they should acknowledge the significance of zines as cultural documents. A library's purpose is not to act as an arbiter of culture, deciding what it is or not. A library is an access point to information in a culture. As such, a library's holdings should encompass a wide range of materials to provide as accurate a picture of a cultural time period as possible. The print zine is well within such a range of materials. Zines are proliferating, not fading away. In 1995, an estimated 20 to 50,000 zines were published worldwide. Estimating the number of zines being published today is impossible. They start and stop publication constantly, and the widespread use of computers fosters their proliferation. Most libraries at some point will receive a piece of zine literature. At that time, the library must weigh whether the zine is a valuable addition to its collection. Is it appropriate to the library's mission and within the library's collecting scope? Information is a perishable resource. It can be forgotten, lost, deleted, or destroyed. Cultural identity becomes less defined with each piece of information that is lost. Libraries should consider this when deciding whether to collect zines. Okay, nice cusp of new technology. I'll just scroll down here and see if we can look at the survey questions, and then I'll let you go. Alright, how did your collection begin? How do you catalog them? How do you maintain them? Can they be checked out? How do you plan to preserve them? Who are the users? Do you share them with other libraries? Pretty cut and dry. Well, a good bubble article. Yeah, I'm surprised it's from 2004. Anyway, if you want to go look at it, once again, Zines in the Library by Stoddart and Kiser.